Our scripture reading for today, let us turn to Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 1 says, "At that time declares the Lord, I will be the God of all the clans of Israel, and they will be my people." Amen.
Hallelujah. Welcome to the house of the Lord on the day of resurrection. Sunday is the day of resurrection. And I don't know what happened throughout the week, but I believe and pray that you are being resurrected today. And that that our God will take away all darkness, concerns, worries, and even death from us today. Amen. And I believe when we believe like that and worship Him, He will give it to us. Amen. Today I'd like to share a message that is based on Senior Pastor's message from 2007, in 2007 main service. The title for the message is "The God of the Families." The God of the Families. And the month of May is a month of the family, and this is not the only month of the family. All 12 months in the year should be the month of the family, right? But today's passage, I'll read it again from my the version of my Bible, NASB. It says, "At that time declares the Lord, I will be the God of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people." And let us believe that God is saying, I will be the God of all the families of Zion. Amen. And as I share this message today, I'd like to ask you to think of two ways. Think of your family. But furthermore, secondly, let us think about the family of Zion. Are we a family? Amen. Whether you like or not, we are a family. But there might be some people that you don't prefer to see, but even then, we are a family because we all love one God. And we call Him our Father. And we are here worshiping Him together at His house and worshiping and receiving His word together. And so I believe that we are a family. Amen? And so as we hear this word and sermon about the family, let us be in prayer and have in our minds your family, your immediate family, and the family of Zion. And to God, family is very, very important. In today's passage, He said, I am the God of all the families of Israel. And looking back from the beginning to the end of the Bible, we can see that God considered family very important. Even to the point where we can say, the reason why Jesus resurrected from death, Jesus died, God, who's the creator of the great universe, God who is greater than all, came down to this tiny little, smaller than a speck, earth, and died for a very insignificant us. And He resurrected. If He did not resurrect, just as the choir is singing, if He did not resurrect, there would be no hope for life for us. And why did He resurrect? We can even say He resurrected in order to restore and recover families. So through today's message, I pray that Zion Church families will be restored. Amen. That we will be able to receive blessings of God, of our God of the family. Amen. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 19, it says, "So then you are no longer strangers and aliens, but you are fellow citizens with the saints and are of God's household." We are of God's household. So why is family so important? Throughout the Bible, we can see all things begin from the family. So the first point is, family is what God created first. God created family first. When God created all the universe, all things in it, the conclusion, the final masterpiece that God made was a family. Of course, in Genesis chapter 2, God creates man, and then from his rib creates a woman. But in Genesis chapter 1, he creates man and woman. Okay? And then blesses them. The three blessings. God creates man and woman and blesses them, according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. According to 1:28, Genesis 1:28, God blessed them. Right? It's a family unit. That's the most smallest core unit in doing God's work. God creates family first. God blessed them, and God said to them, number one, the first blessing is be fruitful and multiply. I pray that these blessings will be given to each and every family and member of our Zion Church. First, be fruitful and multiply. Second, fill the earth and subdue it. Third, rule over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the sky and over every living thing that moves on the earth. God gave the blessing of prosperity, the blessing of being fruitful, okay, of children also, and the blessing of authority, God's authority practiced on this earth by mankind. So God gave all kinds of blessings to this family. Why? What is the reason why God creates this family? Husband and wife. And future children to come. And bless this family with all kinds of blessings. God wanted to use this family for His purpose. But what happened? Remember, God said, it is not good for man to be alone. Genesis 2:18. It is not good for man to be alone. So He made his wife suitable for him. And Matthew chapter 19, verse 5 also, Jesus says, Matthew 19:5, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And one condition is that husband and wife, Adam and Eve, were to do what God told them to do and worship God. They are husband and wife. They are a family under God. But when and why did sin come in? It's when they lost God in the family. They lost God in their relationship, and they forgot about God in doing what they needed to do. We need to be honest, and so I'd like to ask all of us to ask ourselves, is God alive in you? Is God alive in your family? Let me rephrase it. Can you find God in your family? In your household? When you go home, is God there? When you meet your family members, is God there? One more question, further question is God there on a table? In the corner of the room? Where did you leave God? At your home. Is He like a figurine or statue that is left and you just pass by and just kind of get reminded once in a while? Is it just a figurehead? A label? Something that defines our family, a Christian family? Or is He alive in every moment and every decision we make? Adam and Eve somehow excluded God in this incident, in this action. When the serpent asked the woman to eat the fruit, or told her about the fruit, in her decision making, there was no God. And after making the decision and eating the fruit, she gave it to her husband. Now let me ask you, why did Adam know that the fruit that the woman was giving him was the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that God had forbidden him? Did he know? Yes? Did know that he was not supposed to eat it, then why did he eat it? We can make this story very romantic. My wife already ate it. She's gonna die from it. What am I gonna do? Live alone? I love her to death. Literally to death. So if she's gonna go down, I'm gonna go down with her. How romantic is that? So even though I know I'm going to die, I take that love with me and take a bite out of it. What a great love that is. Right? There's love in that family. No? But how about if they had prayed together, even after she had eaten it? If one person would lead them back to God, do you think God would have forgiven Eve? And so it looks like you can say, they're in love. I did it because of love. I did it because I love my wife. However, what happens immediately after they eat the fruit? They realize the effect is different than what they had expected. They're seeing shame. They're seeing shame from each other means before they saw beauty from each other. After eating the fruit, after negating God from their life, their family, they're starting to see each other's shame. They're starting to see ugliness from each other. And immediately what do they do? Not even a few hours have passed. Immediately after they ate, God said, Adam, what have you done? And what did he start doing? Where is that fervent love for his wife? He started to blame his wife. That's the love of the family when God is negated. When God is taken out of the equation, in the end they ended up blaming each other. They were loving right away, so much love, I would die for you. And turn around, blaming each other. Is God still there in our families? There are a few things that a family should not lose. Do you agree that a family needs to have rule and order?
Yes.
We agree. I hope we all agree. Nowadays, there are many families that do not have that order. When there is no order in the family, when those members go to church or go into the society, they take that disorder and causes the society to become disordered. There needs to be order. And what kind of order? I'm not talking about commanding order. I'm talking about true values. Value of each other. Loving each other. The importance of the father, mother, and the children. The importance of respect and honor. And one thing that needs to take place in a Christian family, in a family that really loves God, needs to be the liveliness, the vitality of God Himself. In a family, the children need to experience and hear and come to understand that God is alive. A family needs to be a place in the heart and also a physical place. Even though the world is a place of suffering and affliction, and sometimes may be fun, but sometimes it's a place of betrayal, difficulties. But no matter what kind of problem there might be that we are going through, when I come home to my family, there has to be peace. And so the order that needs to be protected is the order of peace and comfort and love. Some of you might say, oh no, I don't have a family, I live alone. Some of you might say, my parents are not believers. Some of you might say, my family is not like that. But it begins with one person. Abraham was not from a believing family. Abraham, when he went home, it was full of idols, idol worshiping. But God chose Abraham to begin that family. I believe that God has chosen each of us to begin that kind of family. And one thing that must be shared in the family is about how God is alive. Some of the things that we go through in our teens and young adults, and even in the 30s and 40s and 50s as we live in this world, are temptations of faith. Do you think I did not go through temptations of giving up my faith, changing my religion, or giving up religion altogether? And I look back, what has kept me going? Nobody offered $1 million for me to become a pastor. Sometimes I wish. Nobody gave me an incentive to keep my faith. And I cannot guarantee even from now and forth. Even as a pastor, I don't know. We cannot guarantee our faith. Only God can protect us. But as I look back to my younger times, when I used to go through difficulties, I used to go through bitterness and hatred, sometimes temptations, thinking if I don't have to go to church, I'd be freer to do so many more things. If I don't have to go to church, my mind would not be so complicated. Right? My friends had other religions and they seemed to be doing better. In those times, what kept me still holding down to our Lord Jesus Christ? It's the little stories told by my mother and my dad, or my church members, my uncles and aunties at church. They tell a story about how we are not from a well-off, well-to-do family. So sometimes financially we are about to go down and have no hope. But then it's God. Of course, there's stories and testimonies and details about how God works through people and works miracles to help us survive. I hear testimonials about people who are going through sickness, but then God was with them, and they are still living and doing God's work. Those stories shared amongst the spiritual families, within my physical family, those are the ones that reminded me, hey Sam, you can give up your faith all you want, but you know deep inside, God is alive. You know that God is with you. You know you have experienced God helping you. No? That faith comes from the family. I pray that that's the kind of faith that we will pass down to our children from the family of Zion. And so one thing that should not be compromised in a family is worshiping God, fellowshipping with God. Not only formal worship, but continuous fellowship with God. Making sure that God is involved in the family. Making sure that when you go through hardships, you come to God. When you have happiness, you have God there. Even making an extra seat on your dinner table for God. That's what the Jews do. Of course, it's not for God. That extra seat is for for Elijah to come. They leave an extra seat open for Elijah to come, so that when they meet Elijah, they can meet the coming Lord. Right? But leave a space in the family, in your heart, on your dinner table for God to come and sit down. There are 4 members in our family, mom, dad, 2 children. But we have to think, there are 5 members in the family. Before we say dad, it's God. Daddy, mommy, or mommy and daddy, who's higher? And then the children, or some families, children is the highest. But God first. But when God is absent in the family, somehow some darkness comes in, seeps in, and there's unhappiness. Okay? There's dissatisfaction. Somehow when God is absent, Adam and Eve, they looked at each other and they said, so beautiful, you're the bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. But when God was absent, ooh, shameful, ugly. Somehow, when God becomes absent in my life, things will become uglier. We will start seeing shame within ourselves and in other people. But when God is present, He covers our shame with the light of His glory. When God is present, your wife will seem very beautiful. When God is present, your husband will seem awesomely handsome. Your children will seem very precious. Your parents will seem very respectful. So I pray that Zion Church members, all our families, will call God back to our families. Count Him in. Consider Him a member of our family. And remember, not just as a statue that is gaining dust in the corner of the room, but as an active member of our home, the decision maker of our family, the blesser, protector of our family. So let us try to make God feel like He's part of our family, rather than putting Him aside, only calling Him when we need Him. Second point, to God, family is important, and first point was, family is what God made first. God made family first. But secondly, Satan attacks the family first. Just as in the Garden of Eden, or in the family of Job, right? Satan attacks the family first. Satan knows that God wants to do His work through family. And so Satan, when he sees a family becoming one together in faith, when a church becomes a spiritual family of God, he gives all his effort to go into a member of the family or to come into the atmosphere of the family to cause some kind of trouble, some kind of misunderstanding, to break up the family. What's the first thing that Satan did to Job? He broke up the family. Before he struck his body, he broke up the family. Satan attacked Adam's family. Satan attacked Cain's family. Satan tries to negate God, the God factor in our love, in our family. It may seem like we still love each other. It may seem like we still have a good family going, but without us noticing, Satan tries to take out the God factor and allow us to love each other without God. Allow us to be a good family without God. And after that, Satan does not need to do anything else, because that family will collapse on its own. It will cause the husband or wife or both to go out and get into affairs sometimes. Husband or children to get into the addiction of games or other things. It's not God who's cursing them. It's the absence of God and the attack of Satan. The world that we are living in, there are good things, even on TV. But the majority of things that our children are vulnerable to, that we are vulnerable to, presented through media and internet, different things, pornography, homosexuality, premarital relationships, sexual relationships, free thinking, individualism, different kind of ideologies. And it is designed for, Satan is trying to cause our children to grow up to think that family or marriage is needed for his or her own convenience and physical needs and satisfaction. And therefore, when they see that marriage is not giving them those things, is not satisfying them for their needs, they realize the marriage is not needed anymore. And therefore, marriage or family unit becomes more like a contract relationship. Because of the different values, images, that the world gives, they have the wrong kind of fantasy, false expectations that no human being can satisfy. A marriage cannot last for many people. And there's not many places they can, not many people that realize marriage or family is created by God for His purpose. But many families and marriages are put together without remembering that purpose. I'm not condemning families that have already been broken. But I am talking about our future children, our families, the values. It's Satan's trickery to prevent a healthy family, giving us the wrong purpose, wrong idea, wrong dreams. And I believe now is the time. We're not late. Now is the time to restore our families. Now is the time to pray for our families and our children. Begin our redemption and restoration for our homes. And that begins from inviting God to our family. Changing the purpose our family for God. And this, I mentioned that this is inspired and based on the sermon that Senior Pastor Reverend Abraham Park gave in 2007, and I'd like to quote this thing that he said. Some of you might have heard it before. He said, "Therefore, I pray that our church and our families will invite God as the Lord and Master of our families, rather than finding Him and calling unto Him only in our desperate times. When our children are taking exams, when our children are going into universities and waiting for their results, when they are in trouble, when you're sick, not only in those times. Do not use God as you use disposable paper cup for your coffee. You enjoy it and you need it when you need coffee, but afterwards, after you're satisfied, you throw it away." He said, let us not treat God as a disposable paper cup. Let us invite God to become the owner, the master, the Lord of our families. Lastly, God's redemptive work is done through families. And this is the purpose of the family that you are in today. If you don't have a family, Zion Church is your family. And in a family, every member needs to give an effort to love each other, rather than just wait for somebody to love me. A family is the first unit and most basic unit that God does His work of redemption through. Malachi chapter 2 verse 15 tells us the purpose of husband and wife for godly offspring, for the proclamation and continuation of God's word and covenant. In the Old Testament, His work began from a family, Adam's family, but then they failed, so God uses Noah's family. Satan goes in there too. And so 10 generations later, God uses Abraham's family. Today, whose family will God use? I pray that God will use your family to fulfill His will. In the New Testament, many of the churches of the New Testament were begun from a family and by a family. The Church of Philippi was began through the house and family of Lydia, a seller of purple fabrics, worshipper of God. It says the Lord opened her heart to respond to the things spoken by Paul. Acts chapter 16, verse 14 and the following. Church of Corinth and around that area, Aquila and Prisca, also known as Priscilla. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 19, and Romans chapter 16, verses 3 through 4. Church of Colossae, Colossians, began from Philemon's house. Philemon chapter 1, verses 1 through 10. Church of Laodicea started at Nympha's house. Colossians chapter 4, verse 15. He said in this sermon, our church, Canada Church, began with 6 people in a family also. And during that time, members were very poor and mostly older generation, elderly, and very poor. So they did not have a place to worship for 13 years in the beginning. For 13 years. Our church is 13 years old. But 13 years they did not have a place to worship. And so among the members, there was a lady who had a big enough house where they can gather and worship. The problem was, her husband was not a believer and very, very fierce man. And if he realizes that there is worship of Jesus going on in his family, in his house, he would throw away his wife. Get a divorce. And so they were being very careful. And so the wife would call the pastor, senior pastor, and the other members when the husband goes out to work or goes out for some kind of errand. So they would quickly come in and worship and go out without leaving any trace before the husband comes back. But one day, she called, and so they went in, and she got a call, husband is coming right back. So they had to hide. He forgot something or something, so they had to hide. And back then they did not have electric heating. They used black coal for heating the rooms. And they had a storehouse for all these black coals. They had to hide in there. And when the husband went out again, she opened the door and let them out. They were all black, stained with. And so these difficulties and different things happened, but the family eventually got blessed, and the husband received Christ, and they were really blessed. I believe our Zion Church began from families. little families in a family. Family is very, very important to God. It's the beginning place of God's Word. It's the cradle of God's Word. And when all goes away, it will be the family that has God that will remain. It will be the church that becomes the family of God that will remain. It's the cradle of the Word, and from there the Word goes forth to give birth to God's kingdom on this earth. That's what the purpose of the family is for God. It's the starting point of God's kingdom. So would you like your family to become the starting point of God's kingdom today? Then let us pray. Let us pray, God, come into my family. Change the heart of my father or my husband who is not a Christian yet. And so as conclusion, in order for our families to become a family like a church family that has God, there has to be fear of God in the family. There has to be forgiveness within the family. Of course, there needs to be scolding or discipline. There has to be correction. But it is done through love. There has to be sharing of God's grace. There has to be openness. And who takes part in doing this? If the father is a believer of God, the father needs to show the children that the father truly fears God. When Abraham told Isaac, now I'm going to have to kill you. You're the sacrifice. Isaac was able to obey. Why? Because he knew his father truly fears God. There's no doubt about it. And therefore, even I am ready to give my life for that fear of God. It's because during the regular days, normal days, Abraham showed his love to God. And the son witnessed that. He has to toil and work. Father has to toil and work, even in the world, to support the family, but also in redemptive work. When the child sees the father working for God, working for the family, not only physical, in a physical way, respect, but he will learn that fear of God from the father. Mother needs to pray for the children. Of course, father also. But like Hannah, Samuel's mother, like Jochebed, Moses' mother, God said to the woman, you will have labor pain. That labor pain is not only speaking about the immediate pain that you have to go through when giving birth, but spiritually it is all the way until the child is mature enough. Feeding them and giving birth to them in faith. What about children? The children need to learn to respect and thank their parents. And I've heard in the United States, I've heard many children saying, my parents do not deserve my respect. They don't have to deserve our respect. It is our duty to respect them. Without them, we are not here. Our parents do not have to. Sometimes you see the news, parents doing wrong things to the children. Of course, that's wrong. That needs to be corrected. But as long as the parents have raised us well, they deserve. As long as I'm here right now, it is my duty to honor our parents. But all these, honoring, loving, needs to be done through God. God first. In the way that God wants us to do it. Abraham loved his son to no end. But God said, yeah, if you really love him, do it in my way. Sacrifice him. If Abraham had not sacrificed Isaac, I think this is my thinking, it's not in the Bible, I think would have become a spoiled brat to no end. Abraham would have given him everything and loved him everything. Abraham probably would have gotten old without so much great faith, because his love was more to Isaac than to God. But God stopped it and taught them to love each other in the way God, with God in between them. Children need to learn to respect and thank their parents. They need to learn to follow the ways of righteousness and justice, like Joseph and Daniel. Do you realize Joseph and Daniel were taken to a secular world, a place where there's nobody telling them they need to worship God, a place where they are actually encouraged to follow other idols and do other fun things and their ways. They did not have their parents to tell them, do this, do that, you have to go to church. And they were young, in their teens, both of them. How many of us, or how many of our children, will still, even at the danger, a risk of losing their life or losing their position, losing their whatever they have, still worship God? Even for myself, I cannot guarantee. If I want a pastor, would I be here today? If I want a pastor, would I be here on Wednesday? But Daniel and Joseph did not make God become disappointed. Daniel and Joseph, somehow, what was in them? I pray that our children of Zion Church will become like Daniel and Joseph. Not that I'm not praying that they will be taken away from our parents and into captivity, but I'm praying that even at the temptation of the world, or even at their threatening of the world, they will not give up God. That they will not give up their ethics, their morals, their soul, for the sake of everything else that Satan is giving. And I pray that our children, our families will become like Timothy, that God needs for his work. Timothy, that I pray that they will become like Timothy, that even our country needs, the world needs. Timothy was raised in faith through the Word. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verses 15 through 17. We know the passage really well. It is about how Timothy took the Word and how the Word became inspiration, teaching, reproof, correction, training in righteousness, and made Timothy a man that is adequate and equipped for every good work. May our families become the family that will use this word to make sure that we and our children are adequate and equipped for every good work. Please remember, we have to experience and believe it first for our children to know. What do we need to believe? That the fact that God is alive. The fact that it is God who will give us and save us from trouble. The fact that God is the one that will still be on our side. So let us depend on God and let us teach our children that God is alive. And God is not just a figure, it's not just a religion, but He's a member of our family. Let us pray.